Hi, this is Karen from the Huntley Library, and today I'm going to show you how you can make a hummingbird swing or a little perch for hummingbirds to rest on in your yard from supplies hopefully that you can find around your house.
I found this idea on another library's website. The Manistee County Library did a hummingbird swing program, and so I'm going to share that with you because I thought it was a really neat and fun idea. We do have some hummingbirds that do nest and visit our area here in north suburban Illinois. The most common is the ruby-throated hummingbird, so hopefully we'll be able to attract some of those with our little swings. These are some of the supplies I have down here that you can use to make your swing. You can find some sticks or twigs from your backyard. You want some that are kind of maybe the thickness of a pencil or thinner, and you're going to need a straight one and then maybe about the length, maybe about 12 inches long or a little bit longer, and then also a curved one. So if you have one that's already bendy or curved, you're in luck. Otherwise, you can try and soak one in some water for a while to see if you can get it to become more flexible and to bend it. I wasn't having a whole lot of luck with that, so if that doesn't work for you, don't worry about it. We can make something else happen, either with floral wire, or we can make a triangle shape instead of a U for these. I'll show you an example in a moment of what the finished one looks like that I made earlier. Hummingbirds supposedly really are attracted to the color red. A lot of the flowers that they feed on are brightly colored or red, so the recommendation is to use something red in your hummingbird swing to attract them to it. So I've got some red beads here that I'm going to use and some red ribbon. This is another kind of red ribbon too. And then I have a gold ribbon too that's kind of shiny and sparkly, so maybe that will be attractive to hummingbirds. If you are using any wires, I'm going to use some floral wire, and then I have this metal wire too. If you're using that, you're going to need some scissors too, so you can cut pieces of that if you need to make it smaller and don't want to use the whole length of it. And I also have twine that you can use either in addition to or in place of floral wire or wire to hold everything together. So those are basically our supplies, and I'm going to show you what the completed one looks like, and then we'll get started. This is the swing that I made earlier. I ended up using 4 sticks instead of just 2 to put mine together. I did have sort of a bendy one, but it didn't bend as far as I needed it to, so I didn't make an arch over the top. I just made a bottom kind of perchy swing for the birds to rest on. And then I had 2 sticks on the side that I joined together in the center here. And then I also added another stick on the top so I could attach some decorations to that were additional. So you would make a loop at the top here so that you can hang your swing from a branch or from something else. If you have like a plant holder, that might work too, or a stake that you could put in your garden. Hummingbirds are really light, so these don't have to support a lot of weight, but you do want to find a secure place to hang it so that your hummingbirds will feel safe and be maybe out of the sun a little bit while they rest. An interesting fact about hummingbirds is that they don't walk or hop very well. They have very weak little legs, so mostly you'll see them hovering around flowers or perched on something, which is why we're making them a little resting spot. All right, so let's get started. I've selected a couple of my sticks that are a little bit more pliable, and I'm going to try and make an arch out of those. So I'm just going to join these 2 ends here with some floral wire, which I have in my other hand right there, and I'm just going to wrap around these. Oops. Like so. If you have grapevine that you have access to, that would be a really nice material for this arch that we're making, because grapevine is a little bit more flexible and bendy than sticks sometimes are. Or if you have green wood, like something fresh that you just trimmed off of a tree or a plant, that would make a good bendy part as well. I'm just going to wrap all the way around and use all of that. So that looks like it's going to be pretty flexible. So I've got a nice little U shape there. And then I need to select a stick for my perch. And I have a bunch here that I can choose from. There was a nice sort of lichen-y one. Yes, I like this one. It's got some features, some plant features on it already. I like the lichen on there, so I'm going to use this one because I like the natural look. And then I'm going to use 2 more pieces of floral wire to attach it like so. So we'll start on this end. And to do this, I like to just go around and do like a little X with the floral wire. I'll come up closer, so hopefully, whoops. My stick is too long. I'll come up a little closer so you can see what I'm doing. And just wrap it around so that it doesn't move too much or come undone. Come around the back here. I'll just secure these 2 ends around that stick. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. This one comes in front. And you can leave some of the stick overlapping like that or hanging below. That's just something else you can attach things to later on if you want to decorate that part of your swing. And again, just wrap around as many times as you need to get that nice and secure. I'm going to use the whole floral wire. If you're pressed for floral wire and you don't have a lot or don't have a lot to attach things with, you can definitely just cut a piece that does the job, or use twine like I suggested before. Okay, so now I have a nice U shape there and a nice little perch for my hummingbird to rest on. Okay, now we want to create a loop to hang this from. So wherever we decide to put this in the garden, we want to have something that we're going to be able to attach the swing to. So I'm just going to make a loop like this. I kind of bent my floral wire in half, and then I made a little loop at the top here, and I'm going to stick it up here in the center and just wrap around a few times, once on that side and once on the other side. And I'm going to come through the middle and then separate those sides, and let's wrap around the side too to really secure that. If you wanted, you could double the loop part too to make that stronger, but like I said, hummingbirds don't weigh a whole lot, so this will probably be just fine for hanging this. And if you have like a shepherd's hook that's already in your garden, you could just slip this loop right over the end of one of the pieces of your shepherd's hook, and then that would be a fine and dandy place to hang your hummingbird swing. Okay, so decorations. I have some old ribbon that came on like birthday packages that I'm going to use, I think, to do that, or to decorate part of mine. If you want to use more natural materials, you can find things in your yard, like long grasses would look really pretty, or you could even use cut flowers if you wanted to, and when they dry out they might look a little bit shabbier, but the birds might appreciate them while they're fresh, and they might even look interesting after they've dried out a bit too. Like I know the purple cone flowers and stuff like that, they leave interesting bits behind after they're dry, so you could add those to your design too. So here's some ribbon that I'm going to use. And this you could just wrap around like I did with the floral wire. I'm just going to do this on one side, I think. I don't know if I want to do the whole thing. I'm just going to tie a knot here to kind of secure it in one place, and then wrap it down the side. You can put on your artist's hat at this point and get creative. If you're finding that twine and wire are not sufficient to hold some of the stuff onto your hummingbird swing that you want to stay there, you could also use a hot glue gun too to attach items to your swing. you do want them to be somewhat durable and weather resistant because they'll be outside, and you want them to last at least a season so your hummingbirds can enjoy them the rest of the summer before they migrate. Some of them migrate quite far in the winter to stay warm and be able to find food. Okay, and then I'm just going to tie this off here. And since I've got kind of a tail at the end here, let me tie that one more time to secure it. You can curl the tail. I don't know if you've done this technique before, if you're a package wrapper. You can use the end of your scissors here and then just gently pull on the ribbon and it starts to curl. And if it's not quite the curl you want, you can do it another time, and then maybe that's still not quite right. Go ahead and do it again. As long as you don't do it real hard, it should eventually curl up. Or I have completely taken the ability to curl out of this one. No, we're getting it back. All right. Okay, so now I've got this nice long kind of curly tail here to add some visual interest to my swing. What else should we do? I think I'm gonna make some bead ornaments for it. So let me get the... So craft stores like Michael's and Hobby Lobby often sell this fun bendable garland with lots of little beads and stuff sticking off of it. And if you happen to have some of this around that you're not using for any projects, you could use that to decorate your hummingbird swing, or even make your swing out of this material. Just make sure that there's a place for your hummingbird to perch that's not got a bunch of beads on it. We can also make our own using just some plain beads and some wire. So that's what I'm going to do. So I've got a piece of wire that I've already cut here, and I'm just going to add some beads to it. If I can find the hole here. So there's one bead. And to attach this later on, I'm not sure how I'm going to attach it yet, so I'm just going to make a little loop in the wire here and twist it a few times. And depending on the thickness of your wire, this might be harder or easier. You might need some pliers to get that around so that it's secure. I'm just going to use my scissors here to bend that around a couple times. So I've got a little twist in there now. Oops. I had a little twist in there now until I untwisted it. Twisted it the wrong way. Meanwhile, my bead has slipped down to the other end. All right. So there's my twist. There's my bead. Here's the rest of my wire. So I can put on some other beads. If you don't want your beads all together, you can add a little space between them. I'm going to put a few together, so we'll do that in a second. So here's another bead. You didn't even get to see where that went. And then I'll put one more on there. So I've got 4 beads started on here now. They look like that. And then I want a little space between them for the next one. So I'm just gonna make a little loop right there, wrap around it a couple of times, and you can do this however you want to create your space. You just have to bend the wire a little bit. So I'm going to leave it like that and then put some more beads on. We'll do another set of 4. Okay, and there they are next to the other one. And then again, I'm going to put a little loop in my wire and just wrap around it a few times. And I'm going to continue this pattern until I run out of wire here. So I'll let you come up with your own pattern if you're going to do some beads, and I'll meet you back in just a few seconds. Well, I ran out of beads, so I had enough to make a couple of these little garland chains. This is the one that I was showing you earlier with like the 4 beads sectioned off from one another. And then this one I just did single beads, and then I made a little loop in between each one of those. So we should be able to wind that nicely around the hummingbird swing. But first I am going to attach this gold ribbon, I think. So I'm just going to cover up this little piece that we had tied on before, the end right there, and then leave a little piece to dangle on this side. And then I'm going to wrap it like I did on the other side, the red ribbon. Just do the gold ribbon over here. And I'm going to tie it off a bit above the end of the stick so that I can let this piece just hang down a little bit and flap in the wind. So that's what that looks like. And then I'll use this one to wrap around over that, I think. Attach it up here. I love wire. You can just kind of bend it around stuff. Okay, and then this other piece, let's see. I think we can attach it up here at the top. So I'll just wrap it around a couple of times and then kind of let the ends hang off like that. You can bend them down or out if you want to. I have this extra, whoops, there's some extra length here that I'm just going to wrap around. You could also just cut that. You could also cut it off so that it's not poking out quite so much. Okay, what do you think? Should we add a little bit more ribbon? Sure. This piece is already pretty curly and it has 2 ends that I can use to tie it, so I'm just going to put this right in the center here and tie it on in between my loop and the curved part of the swing. I just tied that a knot like a couple of times right there. Alright, so that looks pretty festive. And now we just have to go and install it in the yard. You can do as much decorating or as little as you want to, depending on the supplies that you happen to have around your house. But I'm happy with how this looks, so I hope that you have a successful swing also. So I'm going to go hang that in the yard and I'll show you what that looks like. Here's my hummingbird swing. I have it hanging right now from a stick that I'm using in one of my raised beds. I don't know if that's the ideal place for a hummingbird to swing or rest, but we'll see if anything lands there. I know a lot of other birds like to perch on these sticks at the corners of the beds. They get a nice view of the yard and they can check out my neighbor's bird feeders to see if there's any other birds. Hummingbirds can be kind of territorial about their food supplies, so if you have a hummingbird feeder out, you can often see one hummingbird defending it from another hummingbird. I went to the Chicago Botanic Garden a couple years ago and got to watch hummingbirds chase each other away from a prime feeding zone. Here's some other hummingbird facts that I wanted to mention. Hummingbird flocks, the collective noun for a bunch of hummingbirds, could be a bouquet, a glittering, a hover, a shimmer, or a tune of hummingbirds. Hummingbirds can hover in midair, and they're the only birds that can fly backwards. Their wings move in a figure-8 pattern. There are over 350 known species of hummers, with more being discovered every year. The smallest hummer, the bee hummingbird, weighs less than a nickel. They have extremely fast metabolisms and must eat their weight in nectar, sometimes supplemented by small insects and spiders, every day. They're great pollinators. Thanks for joining me today as we made hummingbird swings. I hope you had a good time.
and that your hummingbirds love the swing that you made. For more fun ideas and other videos, you can check out our website, www.huntleylibrary.org. See you next time. Bye.